Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with the Touchdown Tuesday show, Season 2, Episode 3. And as you see by the title, we got Mayhem Matthew on with us, as always. Love you, bro. Good to see you. What is going on at Michigan State? Mayhem, get us started.
Yeah, so you have a lot of guys hitting the transfer portal. Um, Listen, let's start off with Keon Coleman, wide receiver for Michigan State. He was Coleman was the breakout wide receiver for Michigan State last year, catching 58 passes for 798 yards and 7 touchdowns. That was an all-team high. Um, Coleman is a multi-sport standout. He was a 4-star recruit coming in to the Michigan State. Um, you know, man, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, overall, I mean, you look at Michigan State, they're losing a lot of players, and we'll get into each one of those at least if we can on time. And I think for Keon Coleman to lose your lead receiver, obviously he probably thinks that not that he's better than he is, but maybe he's cut out to be someplace better. Maybe he transfers to a bigger school in college football. Maybe he goes to a lower tier program. We don't know. But obviously, something had to be said or something had to have happened between the year he had last year. He was their lead receiver, 58 receptions, 798 yards, 7 touchdowns. They did not have a 1,000-yard receiver. That's just Michigan State for you. They did okay. Something had to have happened where now he doesn't want to be part of the Spartan program. So he's entered the portal, and the question everyone wants to know is why? And we haven't really heard the reasoning behind that, but we will definitely, try to keep an eye on all this.
Right. Another guy that's very alarming that we talk about. I wanted to save him for last, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about him now. Peyton Thorne enters the transfer portal for Michigan State. He played in 15 games for the Spartans in the last 2 seasons, passing for 5,911 yards and 46 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. That was not good at all, but he finished the 2022 season with a 69.8 QBR, which ranks 35th nationally among all quarterbacks. He's from Illinois. He helped Michigan State to a resurgent 11-2 record in 2021, which included an upset of Michigan and a Peach Bowl win. So after that, last year they went 5-7. And pretty much Thorne has been locked in a starting quarterback battle with Noah Kim, and Mel Tucker wants to keep things as an open competition, and Thorne, he says, I'm the better quarterback. I'm not going to be in a quarterback battle, so I'm entering the portal. So give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame a head coach for obviously saying he wants to see competition at any position, but especially the quarterback position. Noah Kim was 14-19 last year with 174 yards, with a better completion percentage than Peyton Thorne, which completion percentage isn't necessarily what matters, but it is a big factor. I'll say this, that I think that Peyton Thorne entering the portal and quitting on Michigan State is a disgrace to Michigan State because he's been there 3 years or whatever it's been. And I just think that he's come so far with this program to give up on them. And he I mean, he's made his decision. He's going to enter the portal. They lose their lead quarterback, and Michigan State's in a position where they have a quarterback battle. There's always a quarterback battle. I don't care what school it is, every single offseason. Everyone's out to win the job. Everyone's out to prove themselves. And Peyton Thorne giving up, I mean, I kind of want to call him a quitter. Think about it. Because if he had stayed, he could have won the job again and said, "See, coach, this is why you need me." But no, he enters the portal and he says, "Peace out, see ya. I'm jumping ship on Michigan State," and he's it kind of shows that he's a quitter in a way. And I'm not trying to be too critical, but I mean, would you agree with that?
Um, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, anytime that somebody transfers, I guess you can call him a quitter, but I wouldn't go that far. He did take a visit this past weekend to Auburn, which is the Alabama Crimson Tide's rival. Give me your thoughts on what you think Auburn's trying to stir up, and do you think this is a good idea? Tell me, do you think Peyton Thorne is the guy for Auburn, or do you think what they have in Robbie Ashford, or I can't think of the other guys right now, but um, tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, so it is interesting. I mean, I do think that it's possible that Auburn picks up a quarterback from the portal. They picked up Zach Calzada last year. They have, of course, you mentioned Robbie Ashford, who I love. I think he's a good quarterback, at least for Auburn's standpoint. I think it brings competition. If Peyton Thorne wants to go to Auburn, he can go to Auburn. He can go wherever he wants to, of course. But I think it brings more competition to Auburn if he does go there, and doesn't mean he's going to win the job. He's got to earn it for Hugh Freeze, but I do think it brings a more interesting spin on the competition going down on the plains.
For sure. So, we also have on the defensive things for Michigan State, we have cornerback Charles Brantley. He started 11 games for the Spartans in 2022 after playing 8 games the season before as a freshman. So, I would call him a veteran, going into his 3rd year of playing. That Miami Hurricanes have expressed interest in Brantley. So whenever he was a senior in high school, also Florida State had interest in him. He was actually crystal balled to Florida State. So tell me a little bit about this Charles Brantley guy, and what's your thoughts on this?
I think he's a good player. Sophomore last year from Sarasota, Florida, 6 foot, 165. I'm sorry, pretty good size there. He had 48 total tackles, 22 on his own, 26 assists. He did have a sack. He had an interception for 32 yards. So I think the stats are there, and I'm sure that he's got potential wherever he might go. You just mentioned Miami. Miami could definitely use a little bit of secondary help with Manny Diaz, who's a defensive type of coach. I think it'd be a good landing spot for him. We'll see what happens and keep you guys updated. But, overall, I think that he has potential. I just think that he needs to be given the chance somewhere to show it.
For sure. These 3 guys that I mentioned, they entered the transfer portal on from my understanding the last day of the portal. Kind of odd to see 3 guys on the last day. I'm pretty sure there's some other guys like AJ Kirk, safety. You got the other quarterback, Hampton Fay. He entered the quarterback. 2 quarterbacks entering the portal. not really good. You had Octavian Brown, linebacker. You had Chase Carter, edge rusher. Um, he is committed to the Oregon State Beavers there. You have Jeff. Uh, I don't even know how to say that last name. He's an edge rusher. He is committed to the Wisconsin Badgers. You got Elijah Collins. He enrolled to the Oklahoma State. And this is all of the 2023 transfers. You got Tate Hallock. He's a pure athlete, committed to it doesn't say where he's committed, but you got Mason Arnold. He's enrolled. Mason Arnold, he transferred from Ohio State to Michigan State, so that's a good thing. And you also got Nathan Carter. He was at UConn, but he also transferred to Michigan State as well. So you got some people that transferred to Michigan State, but there's a lot of guys like Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver. He transferred to Washington Huskies, which we'll get to that in a few seconds. In one of my takes there for the Touchdown Tuesdays. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of guys, but I can keep on going. Listen, trouble is brewing at Michigan State. Last year they went 5-7. What is wrong with Mel Tucker? What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was a guy that, had a lot of hype coming out of Colorado going to East Lansing. And this was a guy that recently got a contract extension, 10-year, $95 million, as we said, and talked about a little bit. I don't know. When you have your lead quarterback, when you have one of your lead wide receivers, I mean, it's like the whole Colorado thing all over again, but with Michigan State. Think about it. Colorado had all these entries to the portal out of nowhere with Deion Sanders. And now out of nowhere, we have it happening at Michigan State with the Spartan family. And it's just something to keep an eye on, like I mentioned before, because we don't know exactly what the story is. Was something said? Was something done? Is there, more for these athletes in college football than Michigan State? Is it not offering what they expected it to offer? I don't know. But again, you can't fully place the blame on the coach, but you also can't fully blame the players. This is one of those situations we just got to watch as it unfolds.
Right. We talk about Michigan State and Mel Tucker. He's getting paid $9.5 million per year. Okay.
Yeah.
He signed a contract for 10 years, $95 million. That adds up to $9.5 million a year. Man, listen, talk to us about, you have these coaches with long-term contracts that don't hold their end of the bargain. We've seen that with Jimbo Fisher last year, and we are seeing that this year. Well, part of last year we've seen Michigan State go 5-7, and it's continuing to look bad for the Spartans. Talk to us about these coaches that get in these long-term contracts and that are not able to hold up their end of the bargain.
What really gets to me is we give these coaches all these extensions, such as a 10-year contract like what Mel Tucker has after one season. I don't think one season is enough to justify a big-time extension. I mean, I could get like Georgia winning a national title, Alabama winning all these national titles. It's because of the consistency. But because of the inconsistency at Michigan State, I think I'll go ahead and say that Mel Tucker is vastly overpaid. I think that's fair. Now, I'm not trying to downgrade him as a head coach or anything. I'm not going to say he's a bad coach. I'm not going to say anything like that. We'll see how this season goes. Again, 23 portal entries this year. That's a lot. And he's got this big time contract again, 10 years, $95 million. He's got to go out and prove why he's worth it. And to me, honestly, even before getting that contract, I don't think he proved to be worth that much money.
Right. We talk about, Michigan State, and we talk about the 23 notable entries in the portal. We got other college football teams, to talk about as far as the transfer portal goes. You got Cody Epps from BYU, wide receiver. You got Caleb Brown, wide receiver. This is the second wide receiver from Ohio State this week that entered the transfer portal. Big news there. You got Milton Wright, wide receiver from Purdue. You got AJ Allen, running back from Nebraska, entering the portal there. Cullen Montgomery, offensive lineman from Oklahoma. Colby Smith, offensive line from Auburn. Travis J, Florida State safety. Got all these guys. 23 notable transfers from college football that I said. That's a lot. I don't know how I feel about the transfer portal. Obviously, I believe anybody can transfer whenever they want to, but if you're going for money, listen. If you're if you're going for money, I think that's wrong. If you're looking to better yourself, then okay. What? Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening more frequently that these players, even ones that have started all season, start to transfer. And you hit the nail right on the head. I don't agree with them transferring out for money or NIL deals. Like I keep saying, I'm not for NIL. It is what it is. I'll suck it up and deal with it in college football. And I've kind of gotten used to it, and it's kind of found ways to be manageable. But the thing is they are transferring out because they can go to some other school and get a huge contract and NIL deal, and you're seeing that more often, almost every single day in college football, even here during the off season.
Yeah, true. You have let's take Georgia for example. Smoke Bowie, right?
Yeah.
He is a Georgia guy, Georgia homer, Georgia Bulldogs fan through and through. He was 1,000% committed to the Georgia Bulldogs whenever he was being recruited, but Texas A&M gives him a bag and surprisingly flips his commitment to Texas A&M, and he grabs the bag, and well, he's going to the Georgia Bull. He's already at the Georgia Bulldogs. He transferred from Texas A&M to Georgia, where he originally wanted to play. And that just goes to show you that a lot of these players, they're going for the money, and I don't think it's right. I think if you want to better yourself, if you're in a really bad situation at a team, which I'm gonna tell you who I think was in a really bad situation. Take Bo Nix for example, right? Bo Nix was in a really bad position at Auburn. He saw the smoke and he knew there was fire behind there. And he transferred to Oregon, and Oregon did really good. I think they won 10 or 11 games, maybe something like that. Last year, And this year, they're set to do something like that again. Don't be surprised if you see Oregon in the Pac-12 championship or even see them in the playoffs potentially. I think the playoffs is a little bit of a stretch, but Bo Nix is definitely getting a lot better. He's getting a lot better. He's getting developed a lot better at Oregon than he was at Auburn. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he wasn't really looked at as a Heisman candidate or a hot shot at Auburn. This year, he's got to be top 10, if not top 15, if you want to make the list that long. He's got to be on there somewhere this year. And Oregon, even though we talk about USC in the Pac 12, I think Oregon's the second team to come out of the Pac 12 that could give everyone a run for their money.
Right. So speaking of top 10 list, we have moving on to our next subject here. Let's do a top 5 running back list that we have set up for y'all today. Let's start out with I'll go first, and let's start out with dark horse, and then we'll go 5 all the way to number 1, right? So outside of my top 5, which I think could be a dark horse, and don't call me a homer, but Branson Robinson, Georgia. We've seen flashes last year of greatness from Branson Robinson. He just put it on in the national championship. One game that comes to mind, and we were talking about Auburn just a second ago, Branson Robinson had a field day, against Auburn and that defense. And Branson Robinson, Georgia, I don't care what you say about Georgia. Georgia has the best offensive line coming into 2023. That's a video for a different day. But Branson Robinson, big body, built, Georgia, tough, run in between those trenches. He could potentially be a dark horse at Georgia. What's your thoughts?
I like Branson Robinson. I think that he's got potential. He looked pretty good in the spring game, too. It looked like even though your defense is going to be stout this year, like it always is at Georgia, it looked like if anybody could run over them, Branson Robinson's the dude. He is that dude, as you would say. And he's got a bright future, that's for sure.
Right. Before we go any further, good afternoon, VicTube, and good afternoon, C-Bama. Go Dogs, C-Bama. But yeah, Branson Robinson is definitely a dark horse there. Who's your dark horse?
For the top running back?
That could be a potential dark horse in your, I guess, outside of your top 5.
Oh, outside of my top 5? Man, I think outside the top 5, when I look at it, he's with the Rams. Damn. I don't know. This is tough. I didn't prepare for this because I'm going to be honest. All I did was make a top 5 running backs list. I didn't really think about a dark horse.
All right, start at number 5. Who's your number 5?
Trey Benson, Florida State.
Okay, tell us about him.
Yeah, so Trey Benson is definitely one of the top returning running backs. Historically dominant as a tackle breaker last year, according to PFF. He had a 51% forced missed tackle rate that didn't just lead the country, but it set a college record. Trey Benson, was an Oregon transfer. He did fail to crack 1,000 yards last year because he only received 154 carries, but he had 79 forced missed tackles last year. And I think if Florida State is really the team we think they are this season, maybe even better, I think part of it has to be with Trey Benson. If they give him the football, I mentioned that he didn't really crack the 1,000-yard mark last season, but he was just shy of it. If you give him the football more on a couple carries, imagine the offensive line for Florida State steps up too, especially if they get it going in that week 1 game against LSU. I think he could probably hit the 1,000-yard mark. I'm excited to see what he does.
Right. Speaking of Oregon, I know you touched on Oregon a little bit. At my number 5, I have Bucky Irving, Oregon.
Okay.
This guy had 156 carries for 1,058 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, listen, you might want to get them touchdowns up a little bit. That's why I have him at number 5. But yeah, he broke 1,000 yards. He was averaging 6.8 yards per carry. So yeah, I really like this guy at number 5. And the only reason why I have him at number 5 is because of the touchdowns, or I would have him a little bit higher. He comes back for the Oregon Ducks. And listen, I'm very high on Oregon. I think a few of them Pac-12 teams are going to be pretty good, if you ask me. You got USC, Oregon, you got Washington, which we'll get, like I said, we'll get to them a little bit later. But yeah, Bucky Irving comes to mind whenever I think about a top 5. Who's your number 4?
Yeah, so maybe the Alabama fans out there might say I have him a little low if he's number 4, but I'd have to put him next on the list. He's got to be in my top 5 somewhere. I'm going to go Jace McClellan from Alabama. He had 112 carries last year behind Jahmyr Gibbs, 655 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he averaged 5.8 yards a carry. I think if they can get the offensive line in check, it'll be interesting to see how many times they throw the ball this season with Jalen Milroe, Tyler Buckner, whoever the quarterback might be. Let's set the quarterback talk aside for a minute because we've talked so much about that. A guy not getting credit for Alabama too much this offseason is Chase McClellan. He's got great power. He's got great size. He's got great speed. And he's got burst and acceleration. I expect him to make an impact for the offense in Tuscaloosa, and that's why I have him here at number 4.
Right. My number 4 is Braylon Allen, Wisconsin. Now, listen, Luke Fickell is the new head coach down at Wisconsin. Wisconsin underperformed with the talent that they have. Wisconsin should be winning at least a minimum of 8, 9, maybe on a good year, 10 or 11 wins per season. So they definitely underperformed there, only winning 7. I think they went 6-6 with a bowl win or something like that. They were like 7-6 or something, maybe 7-5 with a bowl loss. Somebody will let me know. But Braylon Allen had 230 carries for 1,242 yards and 11 touchdowns. That averages out to 5.5 yards per carry. I mean, this guy is a stud. I'm looking, brand new head coach in Luke Fickell. I think, he's going to go with what Wisconsin does best. And I think they're going to be a run first team. Yes, I do think they're going to pass it all over the field as well. But Braylon Allen should have a breakout year. And that's why I have him at number 4. Who do you got at number 3?
I love Braylon Allen too. I didn't even think about him, man. I wish I had him on the list, but it's a little bit too late for me. I'm going to stick to what I have. I'm going to go number 3. They call him Rocket. I'm going to go Raheem Sanders out of Arkansas. So with him, he was tied 22nd with carries last year. He was 13th in yards, and he was tied 43rd for touchdowns. I think if they give him the ball a little bit more, he had 222 carries last season, but give it to him a little bit more this year. If he can stay up and healthy, I think he's got a chance to yet again hit the 1,000-yard mark and maybe I don't want to say he like doubles his, like, I mean, 20 rushing touchdowns, that'd be crazy. But could he have 11 or 12, maybe get a couple extra this season and boost the Arkansas offense? So Raheem Sanders at number 3.
Yeah, that's exactly who I have at number 3.
Nice.
Raheem Rocket Sanders. I mean, listen, it says it in the name, Rocket. He's going to be a powerful back in the SEC, and not even the SEC, but he's going to be a powerful back in general. That's why I got him at number 3, and for the same reasons that you said is why I have him at number 3. I want to go ahead and tell you my number 2, which is Quinshon Judkins, Old Miss.
Okay.
You know, a little bit. I don't want to give everything away because we have something else planned for the show, but Quinshon Judkins is going to be a stud. Last year we saw flashes of this guy, and I think he's going to be really good, especially under Lane Kiffin's offense. I think Quinshon Judkins, whenever Zach Evans wasn't there to perform, Quinshon stepped up and made some plays. So I look for him to take Zach Evans' spot. Zach Evans got drafted to the NFL. So with that being said, I look for Quinshon Judkins to step up and perform even better. Who do you got at number 2?
Who do I have at, you said number 2?
Yeah.
Number 2 on the list is Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. Had 156 carries as a freshman, hit the 1,000-yard mark, 33rd in the nation. The only thing is he averaged 6.8 yards a carry with 12 touchdowns total. They'll have a freshman quarterback in Drew Aller, possibly at starter. With him as a 5-star recruit, Nicholas Singleton as a 5-star recruit as well. I think that could be a good duo, Nick Singleton and Drew Aller. And stay tuned for more of Penn State on the Touchdown Tuesday show as I have a bold take.
Right. We have 6 people watching. I really appreciate that. We have Traveling Fools. He says, yo, 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 yo. And then, my man, Twisted Rooster, he says, good afternoon, fellas. We are casting on both Ballard Sports Media and Eat 'em Dogs YouTube channel. So please smash the thumbs up. You got Lewis Pap. He says, go blue. Speaking of go blue, let's go ahead and get this out the way. I think both of us, I think everybody should have number 1, Blake Corum as their top running back. Tell us about Blake Corum. We both have him at number 1. So tell us a little bit about him.
Man, Blake Corum is a beast. I'm telling you. I'm surprised he came back this next season. I think he could have gone pro. I guess he wants a little bit more from Michigan. He comes back for his senior year. He's 5'8", 210. Size does concern me a little bit, at least for the NFL standpoint, but I think he has proven in college that size doesn't have to matter. He had 247 carries, over 1,000 yards at 1,463, 18 touchdowns. He was tied 5th place for most rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 5.9 a carry. I don't know what to expect from Michigan's offensive line, and the reason I keep bringing up the O-line is because you need an O-line for a run game. So I don't know what to expect from that for Michigan, but if they could get that together a little bit more, have it be a little bit stronger, it opens up the run game a little bit for J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum and this offense to be one of the most elite offenses in the country this year.
Yeah, listen, Michigan. I always pick on Michigan because, they always think they got the best O-line, and they don't. They got the second best. The best is obviously Georgia's, but with all that being said, yeah, they're going to have they're going to have a great offense. They're going to have a great offensive line. Lewis Papp reminds us Michigan's offensive line has 11 starters. So, um, you know, very good for Michigan. Michigan's going to have a great year. Look for them to being very elite once again. But let's go on to the next segment where we do our takes. You want to do your first take first?
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, I guess we're ready. Okay. Cut that out in the bloopers. So my first take of the day is Eli Drinkwitz will get fired after 2023 with Missouri. He is 17 and 19 overall as a head coach. They're paying him $4 million a year. He's been with Missouri since the pandemic season in 2020. He's got a overall record of 29 and 20, which is good overall. He's 0-2 in bowl games. Thing about it is Missouri struggles to get to a bowl game, and I think he's on the hot seat this year. And quite honestly, I don't think Missouri is going to have what it takes to get to that 6-win mark. That's just my personal opinion. Stay tuned. We'll get them out on Ballard Sports Media team previews very soon. We'll look at it, break it down. I don't think he has what it takes to make a bowl game, win a bowl game. I don't think he has much of what it takes for the SEC. Would you agree?
Well, the only thing that he has right now is he's beaten South Carolina every year that he's been there. I'm not sure if that's something that you can hang your hat on, but Eli Drinkwitz does hang his hat on. But other than that, yeah, he needs to start winning games. I remember whenever Missouri came into the SEC East and they won back-to-back SEC East championships. So not the SEC championship, but the SEC East title. So they definitely Missouri definitely can be better than what they are. That's just my take there, but yeah, I would agree. Eli Drinkwitz, if he doesn't poop, he needs to get off the pot.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that kind of leads us to your next take. What do you have?
Yeah, so my first take is that Michael Penix Jr. is going to win the Heisman. And I say that because you have your two leading wide receivers from last year return. Michael Penix threw for well over 3,000, probably over 4,000 yards last year. 30 something touchdowns that he had last year as well. He brings a lot of momentum in to this year as well. Yeah, they got some questions at O line, but I think Michael Penix can overcome that. He has the second best odds to win the Heisman. It's very hard for a guy to win the Heisman back to back. Everybody's kind of figuring that Caleb Williams will win the Heisman, but even before I looked at the odds, I had Michael Penix winning the Heisman. So and that just solidified my take on that. Whenever I looked at the odds, I was like, wow, Michael Penix is number 2. Can't believe that. I'm going to roll with it. Michael Penix wins the Heisman 2023.
I like it, man. I think Michael Penix had a good shot at Indiana. Obviously, he transferred for better opportunities and he goes to Washington. And I think we've even talked about on here, I think you had a take one day. Did you have Washington in the Pac 12 championship this year, possibly?
I had them winning the Pac 12, and I also had them in my playoffs. Michael Penix, Heisman winner, makes the playoffs. Unfortunately, they don't win in my scenario. But yeah, Michael Penix, he's going to be what I would say is the TCU's quarterback from last year.
He's going to be like that Cinderella guy.
Yeah, he's going to be what I would say is the one that leads them there, and I'm very high on Michael Penix.
I'm pretty high on him too. I don't know about him winning the Heisman this year, but I could definitely see him as a Heisman finalist. I think that there's a lot of production returning to Washington to boost them even further. What did they win last year? 9, 10 games, something like that.
I believe they went 11-2.
11-2. See, and if they return so much, you would expect them to either stay right where they are at 11-2 or take that next step forward, maybe go undefeated in the regular season, maybe, win the Pac-12, make the college football playoff. If Michael Penix can do all that and put up the numbers and stay healthy, I could agree with your take that he could be the Heisman winner.
For sure. What's your second take?
So my second take of the day, I'm going to stick to the Big Ten, and we're going to say Penn State and James Franklin get over the hump and win the Big Ten in 2023.
All right. Give us your reasoning behind that. What you got?
So one of the reasons being that Nicholas Singleton, who I had number 2 on my list for running backs, of course, 4.6 yards after contact per attempt were the second most in the Power 5 this past season, according to PFF.com. He had the third longest touchdown run in Rose Bowl history at 87 yards. I understand Sean Clifford leaves, and of course he's been drafted. Congratulations to Sean Clifford. But bring in a 5-star quarterback at Drew Aller. Here's the thing, man. It's going to be down to, I think, Michigan and Penn State. Ohio State could be in the mix for the Big Ten East. I understand that. But losing C.J. Stroud, losing Jackson Smith-Njigba, losing Paris Johnson, Ohio State loses a lot. I think they take some major steps back with Ryan Day. Someone might have to step up for that number 2 spot. I think if there's any year for James Franklin to win the Big Ten, at least win the division again, like he did in 2016, I think this is the year to take advantage.
Right. Let's go to my second take there. I believe Quinshon Judkins is going to be the leading rusher in the SEC. I talked about how Quinshon Judkins took over for Zach Evans whenever I believe he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken. But Zach Evans had 936 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins kind of took over late in the season. He had 1,567 yards as a freshman. All right. Ole Miss clearly to me is a run first team. He also had 16 touchdowns. That's an average of 5.7 yards per carry. I was saving this for this take right here, but yeah, he's going to be a sophomore next year. Quinshon Judkins can definitely take over the role for Zach Evans leaving for the draft. But it's going to be up to him because, there's questions on who's going to be the number 2 running back for Ole Miss, right? Because you had the duo of Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans. Quinshon Judkins comes back. He's gonna be asked to do probably a little bit more because he don't have a guy like Zach Evans, as his backup. So I look forward for Quinshon Judkins to have the most rushing yards in the SEC, probably top 5 in the NCAA.
I agree with you. Like you just said, you said top five in the whole college football.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty bold. Wouldn't you agree? Did you hear me?
There we go.
Can you hear me?
We're back. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I said that, that's a pretty bold take, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a bold take. I do like Quinshon Judkins. He could possibly have the most rushing yards in the SEC, and that's saying a lot because he's got a battle. I mentioned earlier Jace McClellan of Alabama. You got Georgia's loaded at running back too, and he's a Georgia fan. This is coming from a Georgia fan saying this, so I am kind of curious, and I'll ask you, what is it about Georgia's running back room that you think a guy from Ole Miss could even beat that?
Well, listen, we have an amazing running back room, right? With Edwards, you got the two Robinson guys, and you got Milton. He'll be back for fall camp, so uh, he should be 100%. But you know, with that being said, we have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position, and with Carson Beck, I think he's an elite level talented quarterback. I know we haven't seen him start a game in college, but we've seen him play, and I just think he's an elite level quarterback. I think Mike Bobo, not only is he going to run a little bit, but he's going to open up this offense. Everybody's kind of sad to see Todd Monken leave, and I would agree. I would agree with that, right? I would agree. I'm kind of sad too, but we have Mike Bobo, and I don't think Mike Bobo is going to completely change the dynamic of this offense. I think you're going to see a pass heavy team in Georgia next year. So, with that being said, that's going to take away from our running backs. So, and I think it's kind of the opposite for Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to be a run heavy team. So that's where I get that from. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the talent's there at Georgia, like we mentioned, but you take away Todd Monken, you bring in Mike Bobo, and Mike Bobo wants to throw the football around, whereas Lane Kiffin in that offense at Ole Miss want to run it down the throat, ground and pound, and do everything they can to gain yardage with the football.
Now, I asked some people to comment their bold takes. Lewis Papp, he says he thinks that Mel Tucker gets fired at the end of the season. Do you think that we talked about his $9.5 million contract for 10 years guaranteed, and I don't think there's no buyout as of right now in their contract. So, do you think Michigan State pulls the trigger after this year and just bites the bullet and gets rid of Mel Tucker with the amount of money that they're giving him?
I think he'd have to have a really bad season. I'm talking it'd have to be 4-8, 5-7. If they can go bowl, if they can make a bowl game at 6-6, they don't have to win it. But if they could do that, they're going to keep Mel Tucker. I think he'd have to really screw something up.
Right. We talked about everything that we had planned today. If you want to come into the StreamYard, I'm gonna put it in the chat below there. So hit the StreamYard link if you want to pop in for a second and talk about football. This is a football channel, so we want to talk about football here. If you want to talk about anything other than football, just email me and I'll give you my number and we could talk about whatever you want to talk about. But as far as this stream goes, hit the StreamYard link and talk about some football. Give us your bold takes. And give us your questions, comments, or concerns there. I'll give y'all a few
Yeah, and
minutes
if
to
you
hit the
guys
link.
ever, if you guys cannot make it on the show, if you guys ever have any suggestions for topics we could talk about on here, um, email
Yeah,
me at ballardsports19@gmail.com if you have any suggestions or bold takes you want talked about on the show. What's up, Vic?
yeah, it was so good.
Not much. How you doing, brother?
Good.
So you want to give us a bold take on what you want to talk about, Vic?
A bold take. Well, well, I don't know. I don't really have any bold takes.
So what you got for the show?
Hmm.
You know what? I'll ask you this question. What do you think about Georgia's running back room?
Oh yeah, I think our running back room looks pretty good. We got Kendall Milton, and we got Dejon Edwards, and we got Branson Robinson and Roderick Robinson. So yeah, we're looking
So
pretty. Yeah.
you know Kendall Milton is injured right now, but he should be good for the fall. Do you think a Branson Robinson type of guy could take over as RB1, or what you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Kendall has been pretty injury prone throughout his career. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, what are you most excited
Hurdle.
to see from the Georgia Bulldogs this year?
Most excited. Well, of course, I'm excited to. Of course, I'm always excited to see our defense because I mean it's always elite. So, and also I want to see how we're gonna do without Stetson and with Carson Mum taking over. And of course, I'm really excited about Brock Bowers. I mean, yeah, he's gonna be the first tight end taken, probably the first receiver taken. Yeah, I think he'll right. Yeah.
So who do you think is gonna if you had to make a prediction now, who do you think comes out of the West? Does Alabama get back to where they were, or does somebody else take control?
No, I think I'll probably take one of LSU.
Damn it. I don't blame you, Vic. I'm high on LSU this season. Think they bring a lot back. They could definitely be the team out of the West again. They'll definitely give Alabama a shot, or maybe you could look at it as Alabama giving LSU a shot. I think LSU probably going into this season at least has a better shot than Alabama because of returning production. But I think it's something to keep an eye on that somebody else could sneak up.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like Flaming Sports Media agrees, but he may be a little biased. But
Maybe.
Is he a LSU fan?
he is. Yeah.
What's up,
How do
dog
you
and a Ropona?
Dog
Uh,
and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too. Yeah.
If I butchered your name, please forgive me. But
Yeah.
dog
Come on.
dog and Ron Pa, dog
Yeah.
and Ron Pa.
Yeah, I've seen him before. I think I've seen him on my in my comment section before. So
Yeah, he's a loyal subscriber to me as well. And Flaming Sports Media said he is 100% biased. Listen, I like LSU as well. I think they're going to be very, very good. You know, I think they went 9-3,
Yep.
10-3 in after they squashed. They played Purdue. They won.
They played Purdue. Yeah.
They did.
They won like 50 something to 7.
Yeah, they beat them.
Yeah.
They beat them almost as bad as we beat TCU. So yeah.
You know what the crazy thing is? So whenever LSU beat them that bad, that was the worst beatdown in bowl game history until the national title. We took that. They only had that record for a couple of days there.
Right. Yeah, I think that Auburn did that to Purdue one time in a bowl too. Auburn beat them 50 something to 7. So yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
Has not done well against the SEC lately. So
Yeah. Purdue did. I will give credit to Purdue. They did, in fact, beat Tennessee in their bowl game.
oh yeah, they did.
A couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess they're 1-2 in their last 3 against the SEC. So
And of course, you can't rely on Tennessee to do anything for the SEC. So
yeah, except for when they play Clemson.
Yeah, that's true. I think Clemson's going to be pretty good as well. I don't know why I'm so high on them. I think it's because they got rid of their quarterback and they got rid of their offense coordinator there. You know, they continue to win 10 games every single year. I think they could do better than that. But Flaming Sports Media says he thinks it was 63 to 7, and they had the best bowl win ever until Georgia stomped TCU 65 to 7. So.
Yeah,
Georgia only beat the record by 2 points.
What's up, P Digits? He says Finkel is Einhorn. Afternoon. And Flaming Sports Media says Ballard is almost at 1K subs. Keep it up. He's the LSU fan, but we still got to represent Bama. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll leave that. I will leave that to Ballard to represent Bama.
Hey, look, man, it's college football has seen Georgia go back to back, and I think they're getting tired of it. I think they miss seeing Alabama and Nick Saban on top. I think they miss that. Unless you're a dog.
What's your thoughts, Victor?
about what?
What Ballard just said. He said they're tired of seeing Georgia go back to back. They need more Bama.
See, that's just too bad.
Yeah. What's that? Holes. Have you ever seen the movie Holes?
Yes. Yes, I have.
That's just too dang bad.
Yeah.
That's just too dang bad.
But you got anything else for us, Victor?
Nope. Unless y'all have anything else.
Anything for you, Ballard?
Nah, man. I thought we had a great show today. I appreciate VicTube for coming on, and I appreciate everyone watching. Go subscribe to, because I'll just be honest. I think we got a little bit more people that watch on my channel. We need to get more people watching Mayhem Matthew and Eat 'em Dogs on YouTube. So go subscribe to this guy right here. He puts his work in, and he does a great job. So we hope you enjoyed this show, and I'll probably save the final words for Mayhem tonight.
Well, if y'all don't know, VicTube also has a YouTube channel, so please go subscribe to VicTube. What do you got, VicTube, for your shows coming up?
Oh, well, of course I do my Friday shows at 6 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. And then and of course I'm on the morning show with Uncle Lou on LouTube. It's 8 a.m. on Thursdays. And then of course I'm also working on my preview and predictions series with the fans of a different team. So a Ballard, we need to do an Alabama preview with you. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I know that you said you were a little busy this week, so maybe next week though. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could get you next week.
Okay.
But final words. Remember what Ballard said. Size don't matter, guys, and go Dogs.